sisters, why we shouldn't belittle any sins is because the sin, if we look at the sin itself, yes, sometimes it may appear to be small. It's only a look. It's only a word. But however, if I look at the fact that who I am disobeying, it won't be so small anymore. The smallest sin is large because I'm not disobeying an ordinary person. Who am I disobeying when I sin? I'm disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's my master. He's the creator. He's the greatest being. So the smallest sin becomes large when I realize that I'm disobeying Allah. Don't say it's a small sin. There is no small sins with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's Allah. How can I dare commit the smallest sin with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's why if I imagine myself, if there is someone respectful, honorable sitting, obviously I'll be much more careful. If there is a marja, imagine a marja, for example, Sayyid Sistani comes and he's sitting in front. Won't I be much more careful? I'll sit in a much more appropriate way. I'll be much more careful. Many things that I'll say in front of my friends, I won't say in front of him. Why? Even though it may be something small, but I'll be extra careful because he's great. Because he's a great alim. And I have to be extra careful. Imagine if it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How careful should I be? There is no such thing as small sins with Allah. And that's why in a beautiful hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he tells Abu Dharr, the companion, Ya Aba Dharr, Inna Allah idha arada bi'abdin khayra, ja'ala dhunubahu bayna aynayh mumathala. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to help a mu'min, what does he do? He always reminds him of his sins. جَعَلَهَا بَيْنَ عَلَيْهِ مُمَثَّلًا. He always sees his sins in front of him. He does not forget them. So that he always what? Remembers, oh, I committed this sin. I have to repent. And then the Prophet says, Ya Aba Dharr, لَا تَنْظُرْ إِلَى صِغَرِ الْخَطِيئَةِ بَلْ أُنْظُرْ إِلَى مَنْ عَصَيْتَ. Don't look at the sin and say, oh, it's a small sin. Look at whom you disobeyed. You disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why that small sin is big. It's big because you disobeyed Allah, the greatest being in this universe. We read, brothers and sisters, in Dua Abu Hamza al-Thamani, a beautiful dua that I advise all of you to read. We read in Dua Abu Hamza al-Thamani so beautifully about this fact. He says about how sometimes we sin and we forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us. He says, the Imam says, فَلَوْ طَلَعَ الْيَوْمَ عَلَى ذَنْبِي غَيْرُكَ مَا فَعَلْتُ. He says, if anyone else besides you, Allah, was watching me when I did that sin, I would not have done that sin. I would have been ashamed. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me and I'm not ashamed. Sometimes we commit some sins in private. If there was a child looking at me, I would not do it. I would be ashamed. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at me, I'm not ashamed. Why is it that we belittle Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We have to be extra careful with these sins. Allah is watching us and we're disobeying Him.